How's it going? I'm Davis, and just gonna do a little bit of a behind the scenes into my song Eason. So before I go to the logic file, a little bit of what Eason is about, or how I wrote it. I mean, most simply, it's about being a kid. That's about it. Eason is the name of my elementary school. The song has a lot of lyrics that have to do with my childhood. Eason's my school. Mentions Clive, that's the small suburb that I grew up in. Rosewood is the street that I lived on growing up. I don't know if I'm supposed to say these things on the internet. I'm pretty sure my middle school teacher told me not to do that, but I'm not middle school anymore. So yeah, most simply it's about being a kid, but I you can get into a little more like, oh, that's my air conditioner, and it's pretty loud, so I'm gonna turn it off. Okay. The lyrics I'm trying to point to are kind of like, when you're a kid, you hate it because you don't have any authority over your own life and you're not really like in charge of anything. And you're like, man, when I'm an adult, that will be much better. And then you become an adult and you're like, well, There's a kind of freedom actually that you have as a kid because you are not in charge of anything, because you're not like the ultimate authority of your life. That's kind of some thoughts that I'm considering in the song. 2 months after I finished the whole thing, I was like, Eason rhymes with Eden, like Garden of Eden. Maybe I should have just sang that. Like the whole song still makes sense if you just change Eason for Eden, but I like Eason better. Okay, well, I also have, this is the album art that my mother-in-law took of her kids, some other random kids running through a cornfield. And I had written the song, I was looking for album art. I liked some grainy film photos from the internet. And then I saw that and I was like, that's like almost lyrically what's happening in the song Kids Out in the Open. So bada bing, bada boom. I wrote it on guitar. I kind of write my music and then bring it to the computer to record. And I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I think it kind of flowed out pretty fast. Okay, that's enough background information. Let's get into the song. So here is the logic file. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, so if this looks like a mess to somebody who knows what they're doing, just don't tell me. Let's just start with the start of the song. So, I gotta put on these little headphones. Like I know what I'm doing. Okay, it starts off with this pad that just kind of goes through the entire song. It's from a website called Spitfire, and it's one of their free lab pads. The MIDI of it is like up here somewhere. This whole muted section is, I'll get into it later, but it's an absolute mess, and it's kind of a fun mess, but it's a mess. Yeah, so it's one of their piano pads called Radio, and it's just kind of droning on the 1 and 5 for the entire song. As you can see, if you are musical, it's like peaking. It's gained up super loud. I don't know if I did that on purpose, if that's just the pad. It kind of has a little bit of distortion in there. Oh, one thing I need to say too. I recorded this all and then I sent it to a guy named Chris Bethia to mix it. This is kind of my mix, somewhat unmixed. So the second thing that comes into the song when the pad is going is the drum beat. I got some inspiration of this from a song called Only Growing by Stephen Day. Kind of a similar beat. I mean, it's super simple beat. The vibe I was kind of going for is like a beat that sounds more interesting than your average coffee shop song, but also not sounding too poppy, you know? So it actually is some super poppy drums, but I just blanketed it with a low pass filter or high pass. I don't know. I get them mixed up. I also got inspiration from Bleachers. I watched an NPR Tiny Desk concert. I think he has this like boombox and he just presses play and then a drum beat loops the whole time and he just plays his song over it. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm just going to pretend that that's what's happening here. So the beat doesn't change. It like stops for a half measure at one point, and that's about it. But I liked the boombox thing. And so as you can see, I have a cassette player sound effect. So in my mind, this is all one instrument. You have the cassette player and it gets set, and then the boombox or the drum is actually on the cassette player in my song imagination. So there's that. So these are all Logic preset drum sounds. It's a very simple beat, just looping over and over the whole song. Here's what it sounds like without any of the filters on there. It might be kind of harsh, just a warning. So that's like, that could be on the radio, maybe on a pop song. But put kind of the high, take away a lot of the high end, and it's a little more pulled back. So those are the drums. They go throughout the whole song, and the cassette player kicks it off. I also had, like, I considered, because of my integrity with my cassette player drum sound, I considered, needing to stop the cassette player when the drums stop at the start of verse 2, and then restarting it. And so I kind of made a little beat out of it. So it restarts, but I thought nobody is gonna care about the integrity of my cassette player drum loop. And I also considered having one at the end when it all is done. That could have worked. I don't know. It's kind of fun. Okay. So you got the pad, the drum beat. The next thing I guess is the piano. So this is the sound, I guess, is also from Spitfire. It's their Firewood piano, which is like $29. I bought it for another song on the EP, and then very quickly replaced every piano sound on the EP with this. And so this is the felt preset with some things tweaked. And yeah, here's how it sounds. So yeah, you can hear some of the mechanical noise in there. I really like that. It sounds very like live, even though it is a MIDI instrument. So up here, this is the muted section of my song. I throw things in this folder when I don't need them, or when I recorded them and I didn't like them, or when I export them to audio, whatever. It's just a trash heap. But there's some helpful things up here. So this was the piano sound that I had for kind of the demo of this song. It's a piano from feltinstruments.com called Wolno. It's the free trial one. I've paid them $0, but I want to buy their stuff eventually, Okay, and it's super, like, even more wrong than the felt piano. So here's how it sounds. I love that sound. I think that's awesome. It sounds so cool, but it didn't really fit with the whole song. I eventually re-recorded it with the piano. I loved just the intangible authenticity of the part, and I didn't want to try to re-record it because I was like, I did that one take and it felt great. Had to do it, and I tried to recreate it with this felt piano, and it felt pretty good. That's what ultimately is in the track. And yeah, it's just kind of following the chords the whole time. It gets simplified here on the interlude into the bridge, but for the most part, just kind of playing the chords and a couple filler notes. The next thing I think is the guitar. So this is my acoustic guitar, Martin D15, I think. So I had a condenser mic up, and then let's see, what does this say? An SM7B lying nearby for sort of stereo, or just a different vibe IDK. I just laid it on the bed is what that means. Yeah, here's how it sounds. Yeah, that's about it, the whole song. So that's the acoustic. I think the next thing would be this little bass that comes in. It's a really simple synth bass, just a Logic preset. I found the percussive FM bass, and then I made a few adjustments, but it's not too crazy. I really just wanted a simple bass that, like, fills out the bottom, but you almost don't hear it. You just kind of feel it. Let's see if you can hear it in your headphones. Yeah, so I know it's called percussive FM bass. That's what I took out of it, was the percussiveness. So it's just sitting there, super low. Maybe you hear it, maybe you don't. It gets pretty low here in the final chorus. It kind of like shakes my eyeballs through the headphones. So that's the bass. The next thing that comes in, strings in the second chorus. So these were strings that I originally recorded on MIDI and thought I'll get somebody to do this live. But then I kind of ended up enjoying, like, the low quality of the orchestral sounds, because Eason Elementary, one of my primary memories of Eason is 5th grade band, and 5th grade band sounds terrible. And so I kind of liked some of the imperfections of this. So these were originally recorded as the Frozen strings from Spitfire Labs. I eventually changed them to the Scary strings. Ooh, Halloween's another memory from childhood. Scary strings. Actually, maybe I didn't, because a essentially what happened with the strings was I recorded some MIDI and then I moved it to audio down here. So it's all audio. And then I changed the MIDI and I totally lost what the part was. So I think it's maybe the frozen strings. I don't know. But it's Spitfire Labs, free strings. Here's how they sound. They sound a little wild. They kind of just follow the chord changes with a little bit of dissonance. So they pretty much all the parts have a little bit of a weird note to them. So those are the scary strings. 5th grade, oh yeah, I kind of labeled it here. Strings with 5th grade band vibes, trumpets, handbells, and cello. That might be the only thing that's left instrumentally. Those final 3 things, they kind of, essentially I had the song, and it's a super simple song for the most part, but I got to the final chorus, and I was like, something's got to happen here. Kind of a subtle bass part is this cello with 5th grade band vibes. Here's how it sounds. It's a MIDI instrument. So yeah, it was the frozen strings cello, I think, up in the trash pile of the muted folder. So that was the cello. Sounds like a 5th grader's playing it, that's for sure. So I had some trumpets. These are also free Spitfire Lab trumpets somewhere up here in the muted folder, which is just a terrifying place to be. Anybody see it? Oh. Spitfire Labs trumpet fields, nice and steady. There's a ton of trumpet sounds in here. And a lot of them are crazy. I tried to find one that's like not too crazy, but a little bit, and I did. So here's how the trumpets sound, I guess, by themselves. In the demo, I probably have it somewhere. I had a trumpet that it like tweaks out at the end of it, and I loved it, but it kind of gave away the fact that it was MIDI because it did it every single time. This might have it, but I'm not positive. Yeah, so you can hear that there. And then the trumpets are the exact same part as some handbells, because I played percussion in 5th grade. So these are handbells from Spitfire Labs, of course. The free, if you don't have Spitfire Labs, they're all free. This whole song is like Spitfire Labs. So here's how the handbells sound. So again, they're just like kind of bad is maybe the word, and I love it. I love that. Here's how the orchestra sounds all together. Let's see. Just makes me want to tear up. It's beautiful. That sounds like a 5th grade band concert right there. Yeah, so that's all the instruments. Cool. So vocals. Whoa, this is also a mess. Oh gosh, these names. Okay, don't freak out. I don't know what I'm doing. So for the most part, the song is like I got my voice singing a melody. I sang a double that comes in on some big parts, and then there's like a harmony and a harmony double on that one line, like the freedom we lost somehow. So here, this is terrifying. I'm gonna solo it. Here's the chorus. Oh gosh.
When we were kids out in the open.
Pretty simple. Also, this is unmixed. Remember, Chris did some great stuff to the vocals. I think I recorded it on the SM7B, and then here's what it sounds with the double. This is my mix, but you can kind of hear how they layer.
When we were kids out in the open.
And then here's the melody with the harmonies.
Eason, that freedom we lost somehow.
Pretty simple. One of my favorite lines from the song on the second verse. So I sing about Rosewood Nights, which is the street I grew up on. The line is, now Rosewood Nights I cannot taste. And it just kind of seems like a cry, like oh no, I can't taste the street I grew up on. So I kind of wanted it to just like reverberate, echo out a little more. The auto tune just cranks up, like virtually 100% on purpose. And it just kind of sounds a little more like a Bon Iver screaming kind of moment. And Chris put some great reverb on it in the final mix. Here's how it sounds, just soloed out.
Now Rosewood Nights I cannot taste.
I love it. And then this next line, I don't know if anybody notices this. Sorry if this is a spoiler, but it's the lyrics from my song Stay. I kind of realized like I could say the exact same words here and they'd rhyme and it'd be great. So I did it.
If I had known, well, I might have stayed.
You only need to write one song, then you can just reuse that song the rest of your life. That's all. One thing I kind of would be curious to do is go up to this muted folder, see what kind of stuff I tried out that didn't work. I don't think there's a whole lot for this song, but we can walk through it. So, I use a kick as a click because like I've said, I do not know what I'm doing. I tried a pad, I guess. Classic analog pad. Let's see how that sounds. That might have worked, I don't know. I don't hate it, but I guess I did hate it at one point because it's not in the song. This was when I was trying to figure out a piano sound. It's kind of harsh. Absolutely not soft nor distant. I think the only thing is this electric part. I don't even know what this part is. I guess we'll find out right now.
Is under the horizon, breathing fresh air.
Okay, that's kind of fun, but I don't know. I'm glad I didn't do it. It doesn't sound like a fifth grader, you know? Well, actually, it kind of does. Ooh, that's kind of nice.
Us all back home.
Well, to what could have been. That's my song, Eason. All about being a child. The good old days, you know?